Greetings one, greetings all. Time for the status of the Third World War. I mentioned this back in September 2008, that this is not a war of armies crossing territories, taking land, dropping bombs, and all that sort of thing. It's a financial war. It's a money war. And the war is still going on. They actually passed the first bailout. I wrote to congressmen and said, don't do it, but they went and did it anyway. They must have had somebody come in the back there and tell them, if you don't pass this bailout and give us a bunch of money, we'll just have all the banks close their doors and say, tough, no money for nobody. And that includes the government, that includes the people, that includes business and everybody. And that probably scared them, and that's what made them approve that $750 billion first bailout. But like I predicted, it was only the first bailout. There was a smaller little bailout for the automotive industry. The automotive industry is making, or set up to make, 18 million vehicles a year in Detroit, but there's only demand for 9 million. So maybe they should just consider retooling for 9 million and designing their business model around that, instead of taking these bailouts for who knows what. That are basically, I hope they're just loans and not grants. Now we're a little later on with a new president, and the president comes out and says, we cannot stand by and let this happen. We must do something. We must act quickly. We must not be partisan. So there's a new bailout in town. It's bigger than the old bailout. And what are they trying to do with it? And I watched the C-SPAN, and the congressmen are pretending to debate about it. And I can tell they just don't get it. They don't get it that this is war, and that the money going is like, that is what they are shooting back and forth, is money. And they are trying to cause America to throw all of its money away, every last cent, and then some. So I wish they would wake up and say, wait a minute. They're saying that all these banks are bankrupt, these huge financial institutions are bankrupt, these governments are bankrupt, everything is bankrupt. Well, who do they owe? If we were to say, we'll take all these debts and cancel them, declare them paid in full, and we're just starting over, who would complain? Because that will lead you to the creditor, who's probably behind the whole mess. The one who wants everybody in debt. The one who wants you to borrow and borrow and borrow. And owe and owe and owe, because then they own you. So I would think that would be something worth trying. Now the problem is, businesses are discovering that there's no demand for their stuff, and so they're laying off. There's no demand because when you lay people off, they're not going to spend their money, and so the demand goes less. Then the business says, I can't sell as many, and so I have to lay off more people. And part of it was that they shipped a lot of jobs overseas to have cheap labor make the stuff. But at a certain point, the unemployed run up to their credit limit, and they can't buy any more of this cheap foreign stuff. So I think it's time for us to look at the cheap foreign stuff being sold to the foreigners. And we need to rebuild our industry here in America and generate our own demand. All this other this bailout they're working on right now, it ain't going to work. Because it's not aimed at getting Americans working. They're saying that they can get one American working for $200,000 a year for one job. Well, a business can get an American working for about $50,000 a year, not $200,000. So there's something going wrong with the efficiency. Who's getting all that extra money that the American isn't getting? So that's something to think about. Because once this bailout is gone, they're going to go for another one. They're going to go for as many bailouts as they can get away with until somebody turns off the money, until somebody turns off the computer. And it is time, pretty close time to that. So just be aware of what's going on here. Apparently the government doesn't. They're just like, they have this money and they're going to throw it on the fire, and it's made out of gasoline and they think it's going to help. Oh yeah. They're going the wrong way. They're fooled. They've been fooled hook, line, and sinker. So I just thought I'd do that with you. If you want to, contact your congressman. Tell them what you think. They claim when I write to them that they'd like to hear from me. So if they hear from more of you, they might even listen. So that's my take on the situation. Be seeing you.